All right, good morning. Today we're going to talk about lion share clues. So we're specifically chapter 3. So the topic is chapter 3 of the book in part 1, and we're going to look for lion share clues. Clues or themes that'll carry over through the rest of the book and help us find more clues and more themes. Okay, so immediately looking on this, something jumped out that I think I missed in the first 2 times, or I just skimmed over. So the 2 quotes in red, right? So we're talking right here, right? I did not know what a leitmotif is, all right? And this is by Henry Cartier-Bresson. In photography, the smallest thing can be a great subject. The little human detail can become a leitmotif. And if I'm saying that right, leitmotif, it means an overall theme that's carried through. The example I think that Wikipedia or Google gave was in the story of was it Sleeping Beauty? No, who's the princess with I just read it, the princess and the shoe, princess, the stepsister, Cinderella. The story of Cinderella has like 2 overall themes or 2 leitmotifs that run through it. So I think that's something another confirmer that we're looking for, just not only clues like the broken branch on the tree or the blue elephant or something cryptic, but actually like a theme that carries through, which is what we have been doing for 1 and 2. All right, and the second quote is, with a keen eye for details, one truth prevails. Okay, so cute that it's details and prevails with the plurals on there. But, and the title is A Puzzle Box of Magnifying Glass and the Mysterious Egg. And I'll kind of recap this at the end, but I'm still undecided if I'm team magnifying glass or team no magnifying glass. And by what that means is a lot of the searchers, the hunters, is that what we're calling them? Hunters? Treasure hunters? Have bought magnifying glass, either old school or electric, and like are using them to go through the book, combing for small details. Full disclosure, I don't have one yet. If I need to look at something really close, I just go like this and look at it. So that's the introduction, and we'll wait toward the end to see what happens. All right, so it starts off with, this chapter also grabbed me. Starts out with Japan is a culture alive with details, right? So that's 4 things that mention detail in the very first page, right? You have joys in the details, you have details, and then right there, details. It's hard, when all that's said and done, it's hard not to be like, I need a magnifying glass. But, because I'm stubborn and different, I'll explain why toward the end. The Japanese take immense pride in being exacting in their art, engineering, and service. What do you know about Japan art? All right, so, a lot of people know I'm a little bit of a weeb there, so, samurai, folds 1,000 times, steel, yada, yada. Origami, if you know about Japanese woodworking and how it's, supposedly like done without, what's it called? Out without like screws and connectors. It's all like fit. I don't know if dovetail, I'm not a woodworking expert, but something about Japanese woodworking and the construction of the art is like, I'm not so sure how to even say it. But like the wood fits together, I guess, because of how it's cut and designed without like screws and bolts and stuff like that. It goes into late 2015, talks a little bit about him, but how he got to Japan, which I lived 3 years in Japan as a young child, like 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. So remember a little bit. Don't have like a lot of memories, just like a couple of core memories. But I loved it. Here's an interesting thing I found on page 40. Here we go. Okay, so second paragraph starts with Tokyo is the most populated city in the world. Talks about skyline, technology, no pollution, yada yada, food. Listen for this third last sentence. You prefer nature? ? Dozens of incredibly well manicured gardens are there to visit. And the food, don't get me started. So I want to pause for a second and just let's chew on this. So a lot of the book is about nature, about the wilderness, about getting out there. A lot of the stories, excursions through the jungle, lost temples in Cambodia, wild seas, Spanish gold ships. And then he says, "You like nature?" Like, oh, you like nature? Well, Japan has tons of well manicured gardens. I mean, Japan has one of the highest, most popular peaks. I don't know, maybe it's 7 or 8. I'll have to look that up again too. Should prepare more for this. I just enjoy going off the cuff so much. It's fun. Mount Fuji, like, and they have tons of shrines, and a lot of their hiking cultural trails are like these mountain shrines that pilgrims used to go through. And I don't want to overstep or act like I'm an expert here when I'm not, but it's my understanding that part of the spiritualism and penance meditation aspect was doing a remote maybe a little challenging hike to get to a shrine. Like, you wouldn't put the shrine just like right outside the city. They want you to walk and explore, and I don't want to sound like I'm making stuff up. But anyways, a lot of their popular hiking trails are visiting shrines. They have very mountainous geography. They have tons of wilderness and parks, tons of coastal climbs, and so like he could have used any of those, but he says, "You like nature? Japan has tons of well manicured gardens." I mean, a garden is, yeah, I see the beauty in a garden, but in one aspect, it's how do I say this? It's like man's control over nature. Like, a garden is showing how we dominate nature. I mean, we prune and cut and shape. It's kind of a little, I don't know. I've always had mixed feelings on gardens. Yeah, I can appreciate the beauty, symmetry, and skill it takes to grow something. But again, the other side is like that's not natural. Like, to me, a garden is the opposite of natural. So I don't know. I got hung up on this for a little bit. And I just want to see, what are your thoughts? I mean, it could be that. And again, I want to try to say this in a nice, most a kind way. But maybe that wasn't his experience. Maybe he equates gardens with nature. And maybe when he was in Japan, he didn't go to the shrines and the mountain trails and all that. Or maybe he did, and he's letting us know. I don't know. I feel like there's something here. I haven't really gone deep into it, but I want to bring this to the public and see what you guys think about that line. It just, it struck out to me. You prefer nature? Dozens of incredibly well-manicured gardens are there. Like, not just incredible gardens, but well-manicured gardens. Like, manicuring is the opposite of natural. Like, I don't know. Does it play into our mirror theme? We'll see. Okay. He loves it. Mentions a couple of cities. Then he talks about the puzzle boxes. Explains them. Perfectly Japanese. Finally articulate. Wood inlay. Yada, yada. Goes on and on. Throws out some numbers if you're a big number guy and you're looking for numerology, 6,000 nautical miles, 40 miles, small town or whatever. Introduces Seth Gould. Gold. One day soon, I will look up how to correctly pronounce the name. Seth Gold. I'm going to go with Seth Gold, see if I can remember that. It talks about, him looking for boxes, auction house. So far, I'm not really seeing anything that really jumps out at me as far as our themes, other than that nature thing. But as far as our themes of mirror, of pictures that don't fit, because the two pictures fit pretty well. I mean, one's a puzzle box, in the first page, a traditional Japanese puzzle box, not no treasure. And the second one is, the largest of the 5 treasure boxes, also a puzzle box. None of those pictures really jump out to me. And we haven't seen any stories in stories, right? So he introduces his past. He introduces his friend with no name, telling them, go to Japan. Him and his wife, or girlfriend at the time. None of these are their stories. He's telling a story, but I haven't seen a story in a story yet. All right, so we're moving on. Moving on to page 41. Building up a good relationship, talking about the materials. Instead of wood, he would use metal. How long it took him, 3 years. Again, another number if you bring into that. 42. Okay. So 42 introduces, on the bottom, introduces the magnifying glass. And, I think one of the users on TikTok said they found a clue on the picture. And I tried to, again, look, like you can see me doing it right now, like look really close. Since it's supposed to be a picture, I think any clue would have to be either in the arrangement of it or edited in post, like the Mewtwo, like something later. And I haven't seen any of that. I mean, everything off to me looks kind of normal. I mean, the shadow looks like you would expect the shadow to be. I don't know if, like if you're, to me artistically, again, not a huge art guy here, but it makes sense to have the shadow at that angle, because any less, and it's not far enough. If you take a direct shot from overhead, there's not really a lot. The picture's kind of plain. I mean, it's just two colors, gold and like a jade. So I don't really see. I mean, I can see. Yeah, people pointed out. Okay, it's a moon. It's a crescent. Okay, I see that. It's a Venn diagram. I see all that. I just don't know if it's a clue. Maybe if you're skilled enough, you can pick up the reflection in the handle because it's shiny, so you can see, where the light was. Do you see an image? Is there an image of a photographer bending over it? I don't know. And so I don't see any like clues here that are hidden. But again, I don't have a like high-powered magnifying glass to really zoom into it. And again, I'm still undecided on whether we need one or not. I mean, if you're going to use one anyways, get one. I guess it's one of those things that it's better to have it and need it, or it's better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it. Okay, anyways, all right, so it goes on to, as you may notice once you read part 2 of this book, which is interesting because I think it's one of the first times he references the future. All right, so here's a future reference for those of you who believe that this chapter is tied to the past and the future. The overall designs, yellow brass, steel, have fun to secrets, joy. That's the joy of a puzzle box after all. He leaves instructions. So again, which I think this is important to notice that not like some treasure authors who put out their treasure book, put out the clues, and like hands off, good luck. Like, I've put together this puzzle, I'm fronting the treasure, here are the clues, I'm not gonna babysit you through it. Like, John, like, he wants you to like not struggle, it seems like. Hey, here's a puzzle box, but don't worry, like, I'm gonna include instructions for how to open it. All 5 are functional, behind the scenes videos, visit the Instagram, which I guess it's weird. He didn't like type out the I don't know. Is that weird? Write in comments if you think that's weird. Like, he says, visit. Okay, if you want to see more, you can visit Instagram. But then he doesn't link it or show it, unless I missed it in the back of the book, which I don't think he did. Like, that would have been a good spot to just be like, oh, or in the bottom or caption at. I don't know. As an example, Seth's obsession with details, right? Details, again, inlay of a box, 250,000 chisel, joked around. Then it goes on and on. Sherlock Holmesian, goes on, the pattern. All right, so here's one of the first historical figures, which I think each time he mentions a historical figure, it should, it wouldn't hurt to like Wikipedia the person, just get a very basic knowledge of the dude. 43, so it talks about, Michael Perkins. Like, but again, most of the time when he brings up a historical person, like there's more detail on him. For me, this is one of the shortest main character descriptions. I'm trying to think how to phrase this one. Here's what I mean. So in 1 and 2, right, he introduces the main characters pretty early on, and there's a lot of text about him, right? In this one, he waits almost halfway through the chapter. Yeah, maybe more than halfway through to introduce Michael Perkins. And then there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 paragraphs on him, which might indicate that the clue's not with him. Anyways, he grew up poor, very impressive, young age, became, master craftsman, all that jazz. Then it goes into the Fabergé eggs. So maybe the Fabergé eggs are the real main character here, not the person. Which I guess there's more talk. So there's 3 things mentioned in the book. It's the puzzle box, which is first, magnifying glass, and mysterious egg, and those are the order that they're introduced in the chapter. It's puzzle box, glass, egg. But the meat of the book is definitely on the egg, which it's been, if you're not really into the Discord, that's one of the main themes that people have put forward. Especially a lot of the Ready Player One people. They're like, the treasure is an egg. We have to find the egg. Look for all the mentions of an egg in the book, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, going back to 43, locking in, focusing, goes on to the Fabergé eggs. Then it talks about the Michael, crafted more than half of them. Every egg has its own fascinating history, but the most entertaining and teachable, right? So here's a little focus hint. Teachable, something that he's teaching us, as also as history teaches, but him specifically teaching us. The value of the third imperial egg, for those who are big on the numbers, numerology, 3. It's another big reference to 3. The journey of this egg gives us a erudite lesson on the value of taking time to notice details. So again, details, details, details. So it talks about, the history of the egg. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I will say I'm looking for a story in a story, right? So he talks about the egg. Right now, this is still him telling a story. He tells about the egg. Goes about the dealer, 2 men haggling the price. Inside, a watch, finds it. Goes to try to, flies to London. Sold. I don't see, then he talks about the effort. And then talks about the mind. So I don't see, and this is a chapter on TikTok I put out, like a day or two ago. Because I was just waiting for the right time to cover this. I only got 1 clue from here. 1, maybe 2. The other ones I try to find at least 3. And of those 3, I figure 1 or 2 will be right and 1 or 2 will be wrong. So I'm trying to always get at least 3. And in the back of my head, knowing that only 1 or 2 really matter. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny the theme is details. But that's very, very surface level. And from what experience I have working on the 4 chapters, nothing surface level is, I don't want to say incorrect or correct. I want to say nothing you find on the surface level is going to lead to a actionable boots on the ground transition. If that makes sense. Is that the right way to say it? I think it's intentional, obviously. Surface level, he wants you to pick it up and note it, to learn on it. But I don't think anything you find at the surface level is like an actual boots on the ground's clue, right? It's more of a theme. So for me, I took the repeated beating you over the head details with, okay, focus on the details, right? So if you're cycling through our themes, we have chapter 1, mirror. Mirror, look for the mirror imaging, look for reverse, look for flip. Picture that in your head with the clues and locations, mirror, detail, flip, which I really like because you can get really creative with names and locations for places that are in different states. You can play around with mirrors for that. Then chapter 2, looking at mirrors and images again there with throwing out a picture of one place and it's another place that brings into our photos. And chapter 3 is details, which he kind of alludes a little bit in chapter 1 and 2, but it's really plain for chapter 3. So because he waited so long for details, like maybe you could have argued if you're introducing someone on how to read the book and you want them to focus on details, you'd have that as soon as possible, like chapter 1 or 2. But he waited till chapter 3 to put it. So is 3 a significant number? Or was the lesson in chapter 1 and 2 so much more important that had to predate or precede the details clue? Regardless, it's still we're only on 3 out of 24, so this is all still very foundational. We're building our roadmap. As the chapters come up, look for stuff that's mirrored. Look for the details, right? Okay, so we'll get into what I'm trying to say about the details. And maybe this is just me being a contrarian, or yeah, there are people out there who are, preaching you have to get the magnifying glass and look for the small little details in the book, in the artwork. Look for the pixels, zoom all the way down to the print dot matrix and look at that. And I'm not saying that's wrong because I don't have a box and I don't know. I'm just saying for me, and if you're continuing along this journey of watching my videos, I'm probably not going to put as much emphasis on those. And my reasoning for this is I know that others are, and there's others who are more well-versed and experts in that field. And I know I'm not really a huge super details guy. Yeah, so I guess so if you're on my videos, I'm not gonna, but there are others who do. I think I linked them 2 or 3 videos ago, and I suggest you watch those. They do some good detail work, and I think that if you're looking for a solve, keep that in the back of your head. For me and for what I'm doing, I'm not I'm not going to focus on the details of artwork, visual details. But I will say I will focus on the details with word choice, formatting, and and actual letters. That's the kind of detail that I feel like I could get into and get behind, and that I'm thinking he's interpreting it as. So now you know why I'm not team magnifying glass yet. Maybe I will pick one up. Who knows? But for right now, the details I'm looking for are formatting in the structure, like what comes first, second, third, who's introduced when, how many times are they referenced, and I'm looking for details in the words used, leaf motive, right? A very there's so many quotes you could have picked about details, but you picked the one with leaf motive. And the other thing about the whole Japanese garden thing, I wanted to chew on that, just because that grabbed me. So I have to chew on it, or else I won't be able to move past it. But that's what I got for chapter 3. Again, nothing really huge. I suppose I should have led with this in case anyone was watching with bated breath. Nothing really huge in this chapter as far as I know where to go, like go to this state and this park and this trail. I mean, we're still building our roadmap. Probably won't be the first time we cover the lion's share. If this hunt goes on for 10 years, I expect we'll be doing lion's share walkthrough part 1, and then like a year later, lion's share walkthrough part 2, and see everything that we've learned from, everything we think we've learned, right? So if I haven't said the recap, or if you're still wondering like what I'm even talking about, lion's share chapter 3, details. Focus on the details. For me, a little caveat, not details visual art-wise, but details in words used, formatting for how the story's laid out. Even in the book, like what chapters are where, right? I mean, he had to make a choice. I don't think it was all just random with something like this. So, especially because the segues of each chapter are kind of rough. So there are some chapters I thought would segue easier to another, right? Some gold, precious metal chapters next to each other would kind of make sense. Art chapters you could segue easily, but the segues are rough. Apple technology, ancient rings, ancient rings to Fabergé eggs, not the worst one. And then the gold mines, emerald mine. So hopefully I've said something that sparks something in your brain somewhere, and it's not just all rambling. But I feel pretty neat. I really want to dig into this Japanese. If you have anything on that, any thoughts on that, I'm really anxious to hear. Japanese nature, and again, it could just be his personality or how he is, and he might not have even thought twice about it. Just wrote it down. I don't know. Just I wouldn't have picked that. Hey, are you into nature? Check out this incredibly well manicured, unnatural garden. If it was a garden that was like really rough and overgrown, and they let the flower, fauna, whatever, like grow in their natural and not manicure at all, that would be kind of cool. But I don't know. All right, that's enough. 23 minutes. All right, bye. Good luck.